Hi everyone, in the part 2 series, we covered a few more important questions on manual testing. From this session onwards, we are going to cover all the steps or phases of the software testing life cycle in detail. This will give you a complete understanding of the overall software testing process, starting from requirement analysis and going all the way up to test closure. Here is the first question regarding requirement analysis phase. What are the inputs to requirement analysis? Requirement analysis is the first and one of the most important phases in software testing. To perform it effectively, testers rely on several inputs. The first input is the business requirement document, which explains the high-level business needs. Next, the software requirement specification provides detailed functional and non-functional requirements. We also use the functional requirement document, which explains how each feature should behave. Use cases or user stories help us understand user interactions and different scenarios. Additionally, inputs are also gathered from stakeholder discussions, product owners, or business analysts to clear any ambiguities. Understanding the process and domain knowledge is equally important for testers to validate requirements effectively. Finally, prototypes or wireframes serve as visual inputs to understand the application's look and flow. Here, you will get a clear understanding of all the requirements that need to be tested. This helps testers identify what to test and ensures that no requirement is missed during the testing process. Let's move on to the next question for test planning phase. What is test strategy and test plan? A test strategy is a high-level document that describes the overall testing approach, methodology, and tools to be used. It is generally prepared by the product manager and applies to multiple projects or releases. It focuses on broader aspects, like which testing types and methodologies will be followed, and is usually created at the beginning of the testing phase. In short, it answers the why behind the testing. On the other hand, a test plan is a detailed document that outlines the exact approach, resources, and schedule for testing. It is prepared by the QA lead and is specific to a particular project or release. A test plan includes detailed information such as test cases, schedules, risk management, and resource allocation. It is created after the strategy during the planning phase and focuses more on the what and how of testing activities. So, in summary, the test strategy sets the overall direction, while the test plan defines the detailed execution for a project. What is the difference between test case, use case, and scenario? Let's understand them in a structured way. Aspect 1, definition. A test case is a detailed set of steps written to validate a specific feature or functionality. A use case is a high-level description of how a user interacts with the system to achieve a particular goal. A test scenario is a high-level description of what needs to be tested. Aspect 2, purpose. The purpose of a test case is to validate a specific behavior or functionality of the system. A use case is meant to describe user interactions and system responses. A test scenario is used to outline the general areas or aspects that should be tested. Aspect 3, focus. A test case focuses on inputs, outputs, and expected results of a particular function. A use case focuses on the user's journey and interaction with the system. A test scenario focuses on general functionality or features that require testing. Aspect 4, example, a test case. Example, login with valid credentials, including steps and expected results. A use case. Example, a user logs into the system with actor, preconditions, and steps. A test scenario example, verify login functionality with both valid and invalid credentials. So, in short, test case equals detailed steps and validation. Use case equals user's interaction with the system. Test scenario equals high-level feature or functionality to be tested. This clear distinction will help you confidently answer interview questions on this topic. Now, move on to test case development phase. What is test case in STLC? A test case is a detailed set of steps, inputs, and expected results designed to validate whether a particular functionality of the software is working as expected. Each test case contains elements like a unique ID, preconditions, test steps, test data, expected results, and actual results. For example, to test a login functionality, we create a test case with steps such as entering valid credentials and verifying whether the user is redirected to the homepage. Test cases act as a blueprint for testing, ensuring consistency and complete coverage of requirements. Now, next question, how to prepare a test case template. Now let's look at a sample test case table. Here we have columns for test case ID, requirement or scenario, preconditions, test steps, test data, expected result, actual result, and status. For example, in test case TC001, we are verifying login with valid credentials. The precondition is that the user is on the login page. The steps include entering a valid username, a valid password, and clicking login. The expected result is that the user should be redirected to the home page. Since the actual result matches, the status is marked as pass. In the same way, we write test cases for invalid credentials, blank inputs, and so on. We can also add columns like bug/defect ID, test execution date, tested by, priority, comments, etc. This structured format ensures traceability, coverage, and accuracy in testing. Here are a few sample test case templates. Now, move on to test environment setup phase. What are the key components in setting up a test environment? Test environment refers to the complete setup of hardware, software, and configurations needed for testing. It includes all the infrastructure and tools required to execute tests and ensures they run in a stable, controlled setting. Test data preparation involves creating or gathering the data needed for executing test cases. This data should cover a variety of scenarios, including valid, invalid, and boundary cases, to make sure the system behaves as expected under all conditions. Now, let's discuss on test execution phase. How to execute test cases manually. Here's how to execute test cases manually step by step. Step 1. Review the test case and understand the preconditions and required test data. Step 2. Set up the test environment, making sure all configurations are ready. Step 3. Execute the test case step by step. Step 4. Compare the actual results with the expected results. Step 5. Record the outcome as pass or fail and note any observations or defects in Excel or a test management tool. Step 6. Report the issues to the development team and retest once the bug fixes are applied. Till now, we discussed how to create test cases and how to execute them. But what if a defect is found during test execution? What actions should you take? And how do you raise a bug using the proper template? All of this we'll cover in the next session. So in the next session, we'll be discussing the bug defect lifecycle, retesting, different testing techniques, and a few more important concepts. Please comment below for any clarifications or queries. For mock interviews, online classes, or for any queries, you can contact us at the email ID provided. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for upcoming videos. Happy learning!